Please join us in welcoming our next speaker for today, Mr. Ahmed Mohammed Al Naabi, Support and Studies Senior Manager at Daleel Petroleum, will be presenting today Daleel's petroleum extensive laboratory experts and several field testing trials for chemicals to crucial oil from oil fields. Please welcome to the stage.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning everyone. My name is Ahmed Al Naabi from Daleel Petroleum. I'm so glad to sit with you basically for the next 10-15 minutes to go through the chemical enhanced oil recovery experience in Daleel Petroleum. Daleel Petroleum is one of the oil operating companies in Oman. It's considered so far as the third largest in terms of oil production after BDO and Oxy. So I'll try to be brief despite having so many slides in this case. So this is the agenda of my topic. I will start with the background and field overview about Daleel and the need for the EOR. After that, I will come across the EOR screening method. Then I will spend a little bit longer time taking you through the journey of two different EOR methods in Daleel, both of them as chemical, one of them using surfactant, the other one is using the nanopolymer, before I conclude my presentation. So as you could see, this one basically illustrates what is the field we are talking about here in Daleel. The field is currently under water flood, is a tight carbonate reservoir, light oil, about 40 ABI, and the type of completion is line drive completion, horizontal, is around 100 meter spacing between the wells. You could see, I don't know, I'm supposed to use this one. You could see basically the type of the injector and producers, where the injectors are mainly at the bottom of the reservoir, and then you have the producer on top of that reservoir. Water flood has been there in Daleel since 2004, 2005, so it's there is for around 20 years. You can also see from the production plot there at the top right that since Daleel took over in 2002, we've been focusing mainly on drilling horizontal wells and then introducing water flood and then expanding in the water flood side. You can see what the water cut has been increasing. That's also expected once water flood is being introduced. So what are the main challenges we will be mainly facing once we start water flood? Some of the challenges is field getting more and more matured. Water cut is increasing day after day. Currently, we're talking about an average water cut of around 85%. And then there is a bypassed oil due to the aerial sweepage. We're drilling horizontal wells at around 1,000 meters. Despite its tight carbonate, but heterogeneity is there always as a concern. This is the saturation. Look what you could see here at the bottom after 7 years and 8 years. This is near wellbore. And you can see basically this, we see some saturation at different zones like still original oil saturations. So sweeping that oil saturation is really a necessity on top of also producing the unswept oil as well. So how can we really improve to do that? We've been thinking of the two main recovery mechanisms or to maximize it, infill drilling, but infill drilling due to also tight spacing of 100 meter spacing, you don't expect it to be really working for you forever. You need to consider the tertiary, which is the EOR in this case, to produce the bypass oil and the residual oil saturation as well. This is, again, just an overview on the parameters of the Daleel and the rock. So here we're talking about tight reservoir, 3 to 15 millidarcy. ABI gravity of around 38, so it's really light oil. Viscosity is not really viscous. It's similar to even the water flood viscosity. And as we said, the artificial lift method used in Daleel is mainly ESP and beam pump. Before I start the screening method, this is just one slide to take you through the EOR and the recovery mechanism worldwide. So the recovery mechanism will start with the primary recovery. This could expect you to take you maybe up to 30-40% maximum. Then you need to introduce a secondary recovery. In Daleel case, it's water flood. That could take you also to around 50%. Then what's next? So the tertiary recovery, that could really improve you the recovery even more than 50 or 60%. Of course, it's expensive, but this is sort of a necessity. You need to introduce EOR at one stage of the time. This is the top one is an example of surfactant injection. You could see if primary with the oil flooding or the primary solutions, you have lots of bypass oil not yet produced. Once you go to the water flood mechanism, you'll improve, you'll get more oil, but there's still some bypass oil is not yet produced. And then the time to consider one type of the EOR, which is the surfactant here, to hopefully clean the rock more and get that oil produced to surface. Okay, the EOR method screening. Taking you back again, 2004, 2005, we introduced the water flood. After 4 or 5 years from that time, we started looking at what could really work as EOR in future. So the EOR screening method has started in 2009. We looked at what could be the best solution for Daleel. And the main ones, part of the gas injection, chemical injection, or thermal injection. In the result of that exercise, that gas injection, mainly CO2, along with the chemical injection, and which is also mainly surfactant, could really work for Daleel. Gas injection discarded at that time, again, due to the unavailability of the source. So we've been focusing on the chemical EOR injection for Daleel. And the chemical EOR injection, we've been focusing since that time mainly on the surfactant, but later, throughout the years, we came across a new technology called nanopolymer technologies as a conformance. The main focus of the conformance part is to improve the sweep efficiency. So, and this is the EOR project maturation plan. So once you start EOR method screening, which is just shared with you the previous slide, you need to go and to do lab testing and core flooding. And then after that, we'll start probably with a single half and buff trial before you start with continuous injection field trials. If you do technical and commercial evaluation and this is really working for you, then you will start expanding for full field implementation. And then the next one is the field implementation journey. I will start with the surfactant, then I will take you through the nanopolymer, hopefully if we have enough time before I conclude. What is the surfactant main working mechanism? Surfactant main working mechanism, as illustrated above there, is to improve the microscopic oil displacement within the rock. And this could be through or via three mainly working mechanisms. One of them is the wettability alteration. I think for carbonate reservoir, this is the main one, could be the main working mechanism out of these, because more than 90% of the carbonate reservoir in the world, they are mainly oil wet or mixed wet. So you really need to move from oil wet, mixed wet to more into like water wet to be able to produce that oil. So this is what we consider as the main working mechanism. Add to that one is the IFT reduction. It could be ultra-low IFT reduction as well. And the last one, which is another benefit for the solution that Daleel has utilized, is improving the sweep efficiency by visco-emulsion. This is also helping partially for the conformance part using the same solution, which is surfactant in this case. Then after this, the lab experiment that we have conducted to select the optimum surfactant for Daleel. So we need first of all to understand and analyze the rock and fluid properties, compatibility and viscosity testing, IFT and contact angle, again the wettability alteration, phase behavior and imbibition test, and then the core flooding experiment. So in 2010, we've gone through that exercise, 2010, 2011, trying to pick the best one. And based on that one, we have selected the one that can give you sort of a better recovery factor from male imbibition test. So we have selected one solution, it's called in this case at 1% concentration as 12A. And then this is one slide but summarizing all the surfactant experience in Daleel before attempting to do the expansion phase. So after that one, what has been done? So as we mentioned, in 2010, we've done the lab work. We have selected surfactant solutions with a specific concentration. Then in 2011, 1 year later, we have decided to go ahead with half and buff. We have selected one vertical producer from the same Upper Shuaiba reservoir. We pumped the chemicals of around 1.2% concentrations for about 3 days and allowed it to be soaking for about 5 days. And then the end result that we managed to see a significant drop in water cut from 85% to 70%, that's around 15%. We actually achieved what we were looking for in terms of oil gain and water cut drop. After that, it took us basically to the second stage. Let's start the first continuous injection, injecting in the injector well to support the producers. So that happened in 2013, where we have selected 2 buttons, 2 injectors supporting 4 producers. But the 4 producers, they were basically into 2 different layers within the same upper Shuaiba. We call it layer 1, layer 2, or layer A and layer B. We managed also to achieve good results in terms of oil gain. But in terms of which one gave you the highest oil gain, we've noticed one of these layers did not give basically good oil gain comparing to the other one. We've seen majority of the oil gain happen on the top layer, while Daleel development is mainly happening on the bottom layer. So that this basically we had later to go for another pilot, trying to focus only on the main development zone, which is the bottom layer, and try to see the impact. So this is why in 2018 we went for another trial. If you can notice, we've been a little bit fast from 2010 all the way to 2013. Then we stopped to 2018 for 5 years. Main reason behind that one is the oil prices. All of this is also driven by the oil prices. You could anytime basically stop if the oil prices are not really helping you to move ahead. So we relaxed it a bit for 5 years, and we went back again to 2018. We bumped into 1 injector supporting 2 producers within the same upper Shuaiba D, and we managed basically to achieve the requirement as well and achieve the result. We're achieving some oil gain as well with some drop in water cut up to 10%. This is basically some plots to show you basically the impact of the oil gain. The last one, so that took us from 2011 all the way to 2018. We've done all these pilot projects, and then we were ready to go for expansion phase, expanding through one of the matured blocks. So we were ready, simulation was done, estimating of the oil gain was done, a contract was in place. We had that block consists of around 15 injectors, 15 buttons. But we've decided to be a little bit on the safe side. Let's start with a careful approach. So we've selected like a little bit bigger scale pilot of 3 injectors supporting 5 producers. And then once that is done, that's evaluated properly, we'll move ahead with the rest of the 15 injectors. We've done that one. Basically, the injection was carried out for about 3 to 4 months. We've seen very good initial oil gain. I don't know how to use this one. But the circle there, which is shown in the production plot, after a few months of starting the surfactant injection, we've noticed very good drop in water cut in all the 5 supported producers. Very good water cut drop of around 10%. But then that did not sustain for long. That's what I'm talking about, the circles there on the oil, and the water cut, and the oil, and the red, and the blue in the plot. And then we'll be monitoring that one for a little bit longer time. We managed basically to achieve some of the oil gain. It paid off, but it did not come basically as expected, because we're looking basically at a certain UTC as analog with the previous trials. So why we could not basically get the same result? What could be the reasons behind that? When we've done basically the investigation along with the vendor as well, we found out that salinity is the major impact. So salinity increase of the formation water of the produced water year after year has really resulted in that one. Previous trials we had 100K or less, but this one it went all the way to 160. And from the ambition test, that was one of the main reasons. So we got some learning there. First of all, don't rely on one chemical option. I think we really need to be prepared. Second thing, be ready for higher water salinity. Salinity is expected to really impact the oil gain later in future, which once it's really increasing more and more. What are we currently doing for that? We're already doing lab studies, ongoing lab studies to screen through different solutions for Daleel with different vendors as well. And that's hopefully by end of the year or early next year, we'll come up with a selected surfactant replacing this one. The second topic is the same story, but for the nanopolymer. This is the working mechanism. The nanopolymer, it's aiming to improve the macroscopic sweep efficiency. Just remember those saturation logs where we're leaving lots of bypass oil there. This one is not like the conventional polymer where are you basically focusing to increase the viscosity of the injected water, but in fact is focusing mainly to reduce the permeability to water. So you are still after mobility ratio to be reduced below 1, but in this case, basically you're targeting the permeability to water to be reduced. So that was the main reason. So it's like a crystals of nanopolymers that swells in water, and then it goes to the easy bath, high permeable zone, and it do some sort of plugging there for the high permeability zone, and then could really divert the flow into a matrix, into a low sort of permeability zones. That is the main working mechanism. Lab experiment, we had to do the lab experiment utilizing the core plugs for Daleel, how tight is the reservoir. We need to be careful in selecting the right size of these nanopolymers. So the size has been selected based on that lab experiment, and then estimated from the recovery, from the core flooding, that this could really help you to improve your recovery up to 17%. And then for this topic, we have conducted 3 trials, in fact, already. The first one was conducted with different company in 2018. Okay. And then after that, another one in 2020. And both of them showed interesting results in terms of doing some conformance. You could see it basically from the pressure, increase of the wellhead pressure from a scale of 0 to something above 500 psi. And then a water cut drop. That's what we are looking after. And then both of these 2 trials considered to be really successful in terms of oil gain. And then we recently have conducted the last one. We are in the final stage of the evaluation for this project, and seems to be also working fine so far. And we'll be monitoring a little bit this one a little bit longer as well, till for the next few months. I will end up, because I have to really cut it short because I'm taking a long time. This is only the last slide, is the conclusion. So what are the main conclusion for Daleel? In terms of surfactant, we're currently searching the market for a better alternative option. So to pick up that solution, and hopefully to start with some field trials as well. In the nanopolymer, we so far we've seen good results, but there are some limitations as well. This is something really to little bit enhancement for designing the pilot. But we see ourselves, we are ready also to go for a next expansion phase using the nanopolymer. We're thinking of SB, like surfactant polymer, as an option for future, because conformance is really required. B here is the nanopolymer option. Some other EOR method Daleel is looking also at this time is the low tension gas. We've done one trial. Organic oil recovery is to be tested. CO2 injection to be evaluated first, and also low molecular weight polymer to be also evaluated for Daleel. That's it, and sorry to take a little bit long time. Thank you so much.